What's up guys, Puzzleman here. Today I am not going to dip a whole car. I just want to do some side body panels on this. The guy who brought me the car, he only had 1 gallon of dip, so he wanted to do a little bit of custom work to it. So I told him let's get creative and put that gallon to use. Now I've gone ahead and taped off one side of the car, but before I tape off the other side, I want to show you a couple of things about it. The first thing we did is we took off the tail lights. Now he had these smoked with Plasti Dip smoke already. Even if you tape over them, I'm a little bit concerned about the thinners going through the tape and reliquefying the dip that's on the tail lights and just ruining it. So we just popped those out of there, just avoid the whole situation altogether. And I've also pulled off the chrome trim pieces here too. This is one of those things where you could leave these on, but I want the dip to go underneath the trim piece and make it look like it's supposed to be there. But the main reason I took this trim piece off is it actually has a little piece of rubber that came out from the trim piece and touched the paint. Well, that tends to become kind of a pain in the ass when it's time to peel that tape off of there and you're looking for that edge for it to peel. When you have rubber that touches the paint, it's kind of tough. Alright, so this is what I've got so far. We're just going to take black Plasti Dip, we're going to go down this fender panel and all the way down the trim. I definitely think it's going to give a unique look to it. Now personally, I prefer using the blue tape. Tape like this is probably going to leave a residue on your car, but in most situations I use the materials that are brought to me by the owner of the car. But if you are using a masking tape, there's plenty of ways to get the residue off. So it's really not that big of a deal. Now the plastic clips he has inside of here actually support holding the tail light on, so I don't want to get dip all over those. So pay attention for stuff like this, little things. Every car is going to be different, but keep your eye out and try to keep things like that covered up. Now this is one of those things that's a small project. It's easy to get excited. You start seeing things come together, then all of a sudden you want to put coats down faster. This is actually the part where I go sit down and enjoy a beer. I've had a lot of questions asking me, how do I know when it's dry? Well, with things like regular Plasti Dip, when it's shiny, it's wet. When it's dull, it's dry. Then you're ready for your next coat. Don't jump the gun and start putting this down too heavy when you start doing your first few coats. Okay, with my third coat complete, now you're going to see me start actually slowing down a little bit and get thicker coats on there. If you do this too early, you're going to end up really pissed off because you're going to have a lot of runs all over the place. But Just because you have a good base coat does not mean you need to overdo it and just cake this stuff on there. Some moderation and a good middle ground has to be found. Okay, so this is going to be my fifth and last coat. Now I'm going to do things a little bit different here. Now I'm sure by now you know whenever you peel tape off of Plasti Dip, you want to make sure the Plasti Dip is still wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do the whole car, and then I'm going to come back to this area and do it last. That way it's good and wet whenever I try to peel the tape off. Now these other areas, the tape's on the other side of the seam, so it's not that big of a concern. What you really need to focus on is where your tape touches the paint. Before you get goofy and start trying to clean up the edges, let the dip set up and dry for about an hour, 2 hours maybe. Let it get good and rubbery and solid before you try to peel it off. Otherwise, it's just like working with Play-Doh. It's not worth the hassle. Go have a beer. Watch Star Trek. I don't care. Just let it dry and avoid the frustration. Now there's two ways you could do a project like this. It's small and easy to do. You can either get 1 gallon of RDS or you can get 1 gallon of full strength Plasti Dip with 1 gallon of thinner. With this particular case, I think it would be a little bit more cost effective to use 1 gallon of sprayable versus buying 1 gallon of full strength dip and then 1 gallon of thinner on top of it. So come by my website, www.iamthepuzzleman.com, or swing by my Facebook page, facebook.com/iamthepuzzleman. So guys, hope all your projects are as fun as mine, and remember, don't be a follower. Do it yourself.